Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for November the 19th, and it's been quite a weekend. I got extremely ill with a stomach virus on Friday, and at the same time, the website was attacked. It turns out it was quite a few sites had the same kind of attack. Now, if I go to our web page, which, yes, that's the current one, you'll find that we have the site lockdown here, and they've gone through and run a diagnostic and clean everything. I just have to wait for Google to go through and verify that, in fact, that was all taken care of. But this is the current site, and no issues with going there. This happens to be through Explorer. Oh, while I've got this pointed out, TradeStation, they're still offering that great deal through my rep, and so if you click to go fill out this form, worth doing because they're waiving platform fees as well as the radar screen, and the radar screen you've seen is obviously where you can run a lot of the different alerts from our indicators and everything else. So definitely worth taking a look at if you get an opportunity on that. I'm going to be putting this video up on YouTube, as well as I'll be providing you an HTML link for it, but just an opportunity. Others can take a look at what's going on. And what did we see going on? Well, we knew we were well below our red line right here on this extreme histogram. So we expected a pop. Why? Because if we look down here at our up-down power, well, we were getting well over 80+% ratio relationship, and that's simply by taking the white number, dividing it by the red. And if we do it on SPY, it's a little bit more accurate than using the cash index, so we'll do that when we get to it. But I think the other day it was about 86%. Currently it's about 74. So anytime we're over 70, we have a really good likelihood of a reversal. Now, any reversal and pop we get, what do we know from these details right here? That we're going to retrace the low. Same situation right here. When we popped up, we knew that this low would get retraced, and sure enough it did. And it continued. Now it's very different, and this is a great example of really utilizing the extreme histogram when you see the difference between a green trend move, like right here. In fact, let's zoom in a little bit. When we dipped below this red line, this became a very strong buy, because anytime you dip and get extreme oversold, as relates to our extreme histogram, sort of the chaotic event to the opposite side. When we get this kind of an extreme, we know it's too far. When you get this far of an extreme in a green trend, it's too far. And boom, we popped up from there. Same thing happened here. Then we went slightly red trend, but still very bullish off this kind of setup whenever it's in the green trend, and bounced up. But what happens? Yes, you end up having to retrace that low that dips below the red line. And sure enough, boom, did that. Now, we've seen some expressed weakness, and it continues. So that's definitely something that we're watching, and the fact that we can't get any improvement from this orange line on our expanded ratio histogram tells us that we don't have any committed buyers. We're further shown that by the -20 on the shakeout indicator, and as long as you have that deep and negative, any bounce we get is just going to retrace. And I know that's not what some people want to hear, but it is what it is, and so we're just going to play it accordingly. And the end of the day, all of our strategies were fairly good. I mean, we almost had a near perfect option expiration. But we'll go over those, and I'll probably do a separate video for all of our options trades and those kinds of setups. You can see support and resistance wise, 1343 is kind of where we had it. Maybe that 1355 should have been closer to right down here at the lows. 1353 range started to develop some more, and then you begin to see, okay, if I start playing with that here, does it match closer there? Was it better over here? A little bit further down, how many closes do you need? And you can see how subjective just drawing some of these lines become. It all really depends on where the individual fractal buyers are lining up and where they've determined is their entry point, exit point, as opposed to everyone thinks that, well, it's just a general concept. Well, that would be true if the general population had as much weight as a mutual fund, large hedge fund. You don't. And so suggesting that regular traders that think that this is a course of action or this is their sentiment, it doesn't really make any difference because they don't have the money to move the market. And so it's always something that kind of I shake my head when I hear some of these concepts of sentiment and how people feel about this, that, and the other. And it really doesn't matter, because just a few people with serious amounts of money can do far more as far as moving price than any group sentiment. Anyway, here we go back here, and if can't slide this up far enough to give you the reading on it. I don't think it'll be visible. But it was, I'll just read them off for you. It was 418 for the white and 485 for the red. And so when you divide those two, you get about 86%. So that gave us the idea that we were likely to see a nice bounce back off that move. And the current reading, about 74%. So still, but you can see shorts still adding into the setup. So you create a little bit of a fire setup now because you've added shorts. At the same time, price moved higher. So some of them are already upside down. And that creates a little bit of a little pop, explosive kind of, cover rally type thing. But what we're not seeing is, the underlying support behind it. So it has to be something that you just look at it from a more cautious standpoint. Now, we wanted to see this setup here, which is what I call my 2020, where both lines move in tandem above the magenta, which happens to be a 24, not 20, I know, but sounds better. And you can see that when we get this kind of synergy and the pop-up together, usually you get a decent move off of it. Now, typically I always look at my extreme histogram in relation to that. We already know that any pop-up is not likely to be, sustained for any length of time. That's okay. We can still play it accordingly. Speaking of playing it accordingly, we sold 55 puts and got ourselves a decent premium on them. Actually put us on the right side of them. If you chose to sell at the puts at the end of the day, fine. You still collected, a good 20 cents on the sale of it. Fine, that's great. If not, on a gap higher for Monday, I would definitely want to sell the 55s for a short week and potentially collect as much as, another 80, 90 cents on that setup. And, then it's a nice way to collect $1.50 regardless of whether or not this sustains itself through the week or if it retraces a little bit. So that was an easy play and well worth our efforts. Now if we can take a look at what the updates on the radar screen. Now you'll see that they read 15 minute and we have both the trend model setups, green dots, and you can go through all of them. I've actually completed also the orange dot, and that being ill has really set me back as far as being ready to go with those, but needless to say, it's moving along. And if we look at, I wanted to show you this one too, which was additional stock Merck. We had talked about it as it was fading down, liked it when it got the orange dot there, and you can see the beginnings of the turnaround, but again, still very negative on that overall setup. And if we look at the extreme histogram, negative 64, so it's just like the market pretty much, and kind of reflective of generally the cautiousness with which buyers right now are adding into positions, and so they're just taking a gentle approach on this kind of pretty significant red trend decline. So it's been, it signaled right back here when the extreme histogram went into the super level, and actually was below zero, right at the zero line, negative 55 for the cyan, which projected that much deeper down move that we talked about the ratio psi the other day. So all in all, not too big a shock with some of the setups that are going on. From an intraday standpoint, we were giving out various symbols. I wasn't on very often because I just really was not well enough to be able to share all that was going on during the day. But some extreme volatility. We got some good buy signals overall in general from the dots, and it was all interesting because you had that juxtaposed to I was showing these setups, not just with the I had the Apple setup right here, which was the automation and what it was doing during the day, and in fact it was shorting. Now I did it also with PCLN. I don't know if I have that one lying around here handy, but that was an interesting one because it turned out to be a much faster trade where it shorted. I don't have it handy, but I put it on StockTwits if you want to go back and look at it, and it collected it was a decent amount for just a very short move. Now this one obviously is taking a little bit longer, so it'll go into the Monday trade, and it's just seeking a good portion of its ATR. And I guess we can look at the performance report. That's always relevant. So about 58% of the time, which is fairly decent considering it's trading literally every bar potentially. So, and if we look at the ES, we still don't have, other than the orange dot, no MBI Opus signal yet, and it could be interesting because the ES is showing a little bit more favorable readings. When you look at the shakeout from the daily standpoint, that only negative 16 wouldn't take much to get that inside of our negative 12. So potential's there. Hopefully, I think it's set to be Monday that everything should be squared away from the website, and hopefully Google will have cleared everything off of the warnings and everything. I went on it several times and then ran a virus on my own computer. Couldn't find anything coming through, even though I looked for what they said was on there, and I couldn't find it. So who knows? Needless to say, we just keep plugging at it, and we have a pretty good lock on where things are at right now. It's nothing crisis mode, but we just have to take it one day at a time, and unfortunately, there just still aren't a significant number of buyers to really give us a strong move. Typical projections on this may be potential of 20, 30 points to the upside before we correct back to our retest, and if we don't get that kind of a bounce, then we're going to see probably a much lower move, but we need to get that extreme back above the red line, and until we do, you can't expect a whole lot. So hopefully that helps, and on another video I will go over all of the individual option setups that we did and how all that's working. As always though, continue to trade well.